All of us at Security Scorecard are thrilled that the Honorable Susan M. Gordon, former Principal Deputy Director of U.S. National Intelligence, has joined Security Scorecard Board of Directors. Sue has served for more than 30 years in the U.S. intelligence community, advancing to become the second most senior intelligence official in the country. She was a Deputy Director of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and at the CIA, she was simultaneously the Director of the Information Operations Center and a Director's Senior Advisor on Cyber Issues. MSNBC recently described Sue as one of the most respected U.S. intelligence officers of her generation. She's been advising former U.S. presidents since President Ronald Reagan. Currently, Sue is a fellow at Duke and Harvard Universities, and she serves as a director for MITRE and other companies. Sue Gordon's experience, intellect, and passion for making the world a safer place make her a perfect addition to our board. Sue, thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here, delighted to join the board, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Well, let me ask you a few questions. And again, thank you for doing it and for joining our board. So the first question is, what made you interested in joining the Security Scorecard board?
Number one is I spent a lifetime assessing foreign threats and as a consequence trying to thwart them. In the digital world, this is really about what cyber actors can do to advance their interests at our expense. And so this is a chance actually to be a part of not just talking about it, not just assessing it, but actually doing something that I think is really meaningful to do some serious protection against those who would do us harm.
Thank you, Sue. So you had a deep experience in cybersecurity. Is there anything specific that Security Scorecard is doing that excites you the most from a cybersecurity perspective?
Well, I think from a cybersecurity perspective, it's making the circumstance, making your situation, making your ecosystem, whether that is individual companies or their extended adjacent partners, situation, security, approach visible. And because it's visible, you can then take action on it. And more importantly, one of the things we find is with cybersecurity, people tend to say, okay, I'm good, I'm fixed, I've done something. But they don't realize that as time passes, their situation changes. So the other thing that's great about Security Scorecard is you can continuously monitor, know, see, address your circumstance.
And why is it important to have security KPIs and measure things? Just why is it important to have KPIs?
Well, I think I mentioned it on that last one. If you don't measure, if you don't understand what's important, you're not going to be able to assess risk. If you don't measure, you aren't going to know how well you're doing. And if you don't assess, you aren't going to be able to implement response. I mean, there's just, Alex, I hate to say that it's the simplicity of Security Scorecard because it is not a simplistic approach, but it is a simple way of getting a picture of your environment in an addressable way. I think there's a brilliance to it.
Yeah, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. Well, so what worries you the most in terms of threats we face both in the US and the world?
Well, I think it used to be that those who would do us harm had to have great expense to cross great distance to be able to attack us. Now it costs almost nothing to cross any distance, have volumetric effects, and have great impact. So that's one. The second thing that worries me the most is that you can't guess whether you're going to be affected by a cyber attack. Everybody is either the target or the transportation. And I know this from my history of doing cyber operations. It's all connected, so it's all connected. And then I think the third thing that worries me is certainly espionage, intellectual property theft, economic impact, crime. All of those worry me a lot. But what cyber really is an assault on trust and truth. And trust and truth are foundationals for free and open societies. So when these actors, either through information disorder or making us question the security of our infrastructure, attack us, they are diminishing the trust we have in our society, and that is disproportionately problematic for free and open societies. Mm-hmm.
So how do you think we can scale the fight against bad actors? How can we make their job a lot harder?
Okay, so I can know this to be true. Bad actors are fundamentally lazy. They want effect, but they want effect without a lot of time and energy spent. So the best thing you can do, and we've been preaching this for a decade without as much success as we want, is what you call cyber hygiene. Just make sure that you've got passwords and that you have ports closed and that you've got dual factor authentication. We all talk that good game, but what we know based on the number of attacks that are still happening is that people just have a hard time keeping up with that. Security Scorecard gives you the chance to, in a relatively easy fashion, get a picture of that, and not only of your company and your entity, but of everything that touches you. And I think that has been the missing piece to all the other efforts going on. Everyone's trying harder, everyone's tying their shoelaces tighter, technology is advancing. But if people can't constantly assess their situation and know what to address, we're always going to be behind the bad actors.
Your government career is very impressive. How has your government experience helped you in this new chapter of your life to serve on corporate boards?
Well, I think that's a great question, and I'm trying to add value. I think there are three things that it probably does. Number one is I see the world pretty clearly for what it is, not necessarily what I prefer it to be. And I think those decades of looking at what's happening from the perspective of an intelligence officer actually gives me a pretty good eye at how the world is turning, and I hope I bring that perspective. The second is government problems are big. National security problems are big, and I have a history of taking on big challenges that are seemingly so daunting that you almost don't start because you can't imagine that you can solve it. And I actually think cyber is one of those things where everyone's like, oh, I can't see it, I can't feel it, I can't touch it, so what are we going to do? I guess we're just going to have to live with it. And on one hand, yeah, we're always going to have bad actors. But on the other, I do think there are ways to tackle it. And again, I think I bring that experience. And then I think the last thing I bring is I'm a believer in security. And Alex, you just need to know that one of the things that made me so excited about the opportunity to join your board is that you're not just building a product, you have a vision of what the importance of security and cybersecurity is, and you're trying to advance that as well. And I love a good quest.
Definitely a good quest. And like you said, the adversaries have an upper hand. They have tools that they never had before, where they can scan the entire internet. The attack surface became much more complicated. You have proliferation of IoT devices, digitization of information. So we can't control the fact that they have sophisticated cyber weapons. We can't control the fact that the world became more complex. But what we can control is give companies the tools, the metrics, the KPIs to make more informed, smarter, faster, better decisions about what to protect and what to look at.
Yeah, I think the thing I'd add to that is, and I should have said this in my answer, I wish companies understood that they are in fact national security decision makers now.
I love that quote.
When they choose what to do, what to protect, who to invest with, they are making a decision for us. And I think we're giving them the tools that they can use to be effective at that mission.
Sue, I'm excited for all of the experience and insight you bring to the Security Scorecard board. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I look forward to working together.
Can't wait, Alex. Thanks for having me.